Hello, everyone. It's Sleepy's Ambient Saturdays. Sorry, Selway, not Sleepy. Sleepy's. I did it again. Selway's Chill Out Saturday today. What's up, everyone? I'm John Selway. I'm a little sleepy. Sorry, having a little fun. Always got to have fun. Even if we're being deep and chill and ambient and drony and mysterious. Still got to have fun. Who's in the chat? Who's chilling out in the chat? It's the chill out chat today. Martin Crockett is here. William Mindreaders is here. My current favorite chat handle, Grizz Christofferson, is here. Hector E. Zeraga. Did I say that right? What's up? Acid Bat is here. Uh-oh, the freaky voice is coming in. Let's turn this down a little bit so you can hear me talking over the creepy voice. Who else is in here? Jean-Paul, Bondi, Manuel Gloda, Luminous Cloud, talking about some Black Friday deals. Yes, there are. I'm tempted. I never buy anything hardly. James Lauer 303, what up? Akshay Sharma, Lies Society. Absent is present. Absent is present. In the moment with Absent. New Drexian is here. Nice to have you again. As always, Silver Knobs asking about the next feedback session. Yes, it's coming. I still got to get a guest. Got to do the electro one, right? Yes, Will Joseph, it's a chill out session, and no, it is nothing to do with... What is Future Garage? Someone tell me what that is. I have no idea. Who else is in here? Have I got everybody? DJ Feo. Trying to wake up a little bit now. Let's speed it up a little bit. Let's get going. But the music, the droning is just bringing me back down into sleepy land. Keter Bosch is here. Gavin Lamp. Peter T. That's a new name. Welcome. PK is here. Hathor is here. LPB. Hello. I think that's mostly everybody. Sorry if I missed you. Let's get going. How's it going, everybody, today? Welcome to Selway's Chill Out Saturdays. I don't know, last week we were banging it, right? That remix I'm working on. Pretty intense, pretty ravey. So I was doing something in class this week on the chill side, and I decided to just roll with that. And I think also last time we talked about maybe there's some Max for Live devices out there that I haven't tried out. So I grabbed one of those, which seems to work pretty well for this sort of chill, ambient, droney direction today. So yeah, that's what's happening today on normally Selway Techno Saturday. But as I said, we're chilling out today. Brought to you by 343 TV. Brought to you by 343 Labs, Music Production School here in New York City and in Berlin and online. We have actually, Thomas, you got to pin that link. We're almost done with our pre-sale, our pre-Black Friday sale on all our courses, like the deepest discounts that we possibly could afford to offer you guys to sign up for courses. Time's running out. I think maybe tomorrow's the last day. So, if you're on the fence, you've been thinking about it, this is a good deal. Now's the time for courses that are starting up in the near future. So, maybe you want to get in a synthesis and sound design class online with me, or if you're here in New York, there'll be one starting up again here in New York in person soon. Or you're in Europe and you're on Euro time and you want to do in person and you're in Berlin and we got stuff over there too. But check out this link that Thomas just put in the chat and find out what all the details are, what the discounts are, how it all works. I don't know how it works. I'm just telling you about it. It's here. We're doing it. We've got great discounts. And after tomorrow, we'll have the regular Black Friday sale, which is not quite as good as the pre-sale. So I think you want to take advantage of this if you've been thinking about signing up for a course with us. So give it a shot. And then I don't know if this also applies to 343 Studio. I'm sorry, I don't recall, but we do also have that as an inexpensive option to be part of what we do here in terms of music education, music production instruction, mentoring, feedback, all of that kind of stuff. I really enjoy, actually. I like doing the feedback every now and then here on the stream for you guys. It's amazing. But also, more of a one-on-one thing through 343 Studio where you can sign up with an instructor here with me, get your 15 minutes of guidance on whatever it is that you're working on. I think it's totally worth it. It's like little mini private lessons every now and then. So think about that too. And we got our Discord. That's the place to hang out, talk to each other, join in on our challenges, things like that. Like, when we do feedback sessions, if you want to submit for feedback here on the show, you got to do that in the Discord. So do that if you haven't already. Now, let's chat a little bit. Let's chill a little bit. It's chilling out. And I'm actually going to put on a drone in the background. Let's put on a drone. Let's get something going here. Where is it? There it is. All right. We're going to keep the chill vibe going while we talk a little bit. And let's answer some questions. Let's check out some comments. All right, David Bora asks, would you make something like, is it possible to make techno with FL Studio Mobile? Interesting. You know, FL Studio or no, there's so much that can be done with mobile apps. And I'm not so comfortable and familiar with FL Studio in general that I would like want to do like a presentation on that. I'd have to take some time and learn the platform first. But what I can tell you is any DAW, any hardware, any sequencer, any synth, whatever you've got, you can make techno with it. That's for sure. So yes, I know you could use FL Studio to make techno. Absolutely. As far as providing like a tutorial or a class on that, I don't need to think about that. But just give it a shot. See what you can do. All right. What else we got going on here in the chat? Well, okay. Ordorir, is that right? Asked Electro or Techno. Neither today. We're chilling out today. I mean, it's all through a techno electro lens, so I'm not going to go totally like Ibiza, like Cafe Del Mar chill out on you guys or anything like that. It's going to be a little dark and weird, so no worries. And I think we had a question here about one-on-one feedback. Hector's asking, how can we sign up for a one-on-one lesson feedback session? All right, so 343 Studio is a subscription thing that we've got going on. And if you join that, you know, you pay for that monthly, then you can come in and get access to things like the one-on-one feedback and the mentorship. And also Abe has the live dojo that he does, things like that. We have workshops and master classes and stuff like that. So yeah, the monthly subscription with 343 Studio would provide you access to sign up with occasional short feedback and mentorship sessions. So yeah, that's how that works. And let's see, what else have we got going on here? Grizz Christofferson asking about my current opinion on the West Pest. You might have seen that I did one episode of Electro Saturdays with the West Pest, and we explored that a little bit. I think it's great. It's not hooked up right now. I just happen to have it right here. But I think as far as, you know, inexpensive, good sounding techno toys, electro toys go, that's what I think of, these like little boxes that make crazy noises. I think of them as techno toys, even though it's a real synth. I'm not demeaning it. But like, you can absolutely, this is a really good synth for making sounds for electro. Absolutely. Anything that has a complex oscillator that can do these kind of metallic or grindy or, you know, kind of ringy sounds because of the audio rate modulation going on. And there's the wave shaping. It can get quite aggressive. So yes, I would say it's a worthwhile investment if you're using hardware, you know, and the fact that it's standalone, you can use it by itself, or you can hook it up to a modular system or to other semi-modular synths. And that's, by itself, it's somewhat limited, right, in terms of the different sounds you can make. But if you have other stuff to do other types of modular routing with, it could probably get really, really crazy. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I like it. Cool. Yes, so dark chill out is sort of, it's dark right now. It's not going to be too dark. I have, all right, I said I wasn't going to get all like Cafe Del Mar on you, but I actually do have a plucky guitar sample in here. So it isn't all dark and evil sounding. There's a little bit of light, plucky fluffiness in there that we can play with too. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Good. What are y'all talking about still? Yeah, you guys are supporting each other in the chat, answering each other's questions. I think that's awesome. And while you all do that, we'll have a listen. I'm not exclusively looking at Max for Live devices today. I have one that I'm using right now as it happens. Let's take a look at it. There it is, hiding in the corner. Got my Luma keying on so you can see all the black stuff's getting replaced by the trippy video synth in the background. But this is Tombola. And I didn't realize this. You know, this was someone posted in the chat a list of different devices. Thank you for those of you who gave the suggestions last time. And this was one of them. And I looked it up, and the first thing that came up was like Teenage Engineering OP1 has this exact same thing built into it. And I wonder, I don't know if this is a Max for Live version of that or vice versa, but it's a cool, interesting sequence generator that uses some physics elements. And we've seen that before. We've seen some kind of physics-oriented Max for Live devices. And I love the concept of using sort of natural, physical, real-world ideas in generative sequencing and sound design and stuff like that. I love physical modeling, synthesis, and all that. You know, where you've got algorithms mimicking real-world things. And this isn't super realistic, and you know, it's kind of right now we've got zero gravity, right? You can see there's this hexagon, this rotating hexagon. We have control over the shape of that hexagon in terms of we can change the angle of each of those sides. And I just messed it all up, and now you can see these little balls are bouncing around. If they touch the walls, they bounce. Let's make this a little bigger. And this will just go on forever right now because I've got the speed it's not exactly zero, it's almost zero. It's not stopping. Let's close this up again so we don't lose any. If you open up gaps here, the little balls can actually they can actually escape. That was accidentally beautiful. Right, so we've got zero gravity. They're just slowly floating around within this space in the hexagon, and they bounce off the walls. You know, and if they're moving fast and they hit hard, you get higher velocity. Right, and that's when it gets loud. And of course, the sound that you play with it matters, right? If this is spitting out notes, note on and note off, and velocity, those have to be assigned to interesting things, especially velocity, right? So I'll look at what the sound is doing in Operator in a second. But we've got high mass, right? So these, I think, actually I gotta remember how this scale is. Like, let's see what happens if we bring the mass down. What changes? I think it's actually inverse. I think this is actually heavier. They won't move as much when this mass control is lower. Let's increase the gravity and see what happens, right? They're falling. Right? So you can see when there's zero gravity, they kind of just float there. And if I increase the gravity, they're all just going to sit on the bottom, and then now you can see they're kind of rolling around. It's so fun to play with this. And this, it's all MIDI, right? It's just processing MIDI notes that I played. You need to be careful about which notes you play, because, you know, the notes that you play from a keyboard or in a MIDI clip, you know, they need to be in a certain key or scale or what harmony that you choose, right? And then it's going to use those notes in the sequence. It's not generating new MIDI notes necessarily. You could also, like, we could stick some MIDI processing before or after this. I'm keeping it simple for right now. It's just a few notes I played on the keyboard, and now Tombola is doing its thing. And it's amazing because it's sort of endless. As long as those balls keep moving and touching each other or the walls of the hexagon, it keeps playing. So it just does this endless, varied, droning kind of thing. Now, if I were to speed this up, make them move around faster, and get more action higher or low, we're going to hear more melody stuff happening. Let's see. Let's see what happens if I increase the speed. William Mindreaders is asking, where is the list? If you check out the chat for last week's show, you're going to have to kind of go through and watch it again. But there's a few people typed in some names of Max for Live devices to check out. And this is the one that I picked. Now that you can hear now, it's like a little more high energy now, right? It's the more it's moving. Some of the melodic variation you're hearing is actually not MIDI. As I said, you know, when the balls move around, sometimes they're higher velocity, sometimes they're lower velocity, and it's sending that MIDI information out. And one of my favorite little tricks to do with Operator is the velocity to oscillator tuning, and that can be quantized, which makes it stick to just the coarse tuning, right? And the coarse tuning in an FM synth is ratio, right? So it's doing harmonic series. So we're not just hearing different notes playing, we're hearing harmonics of those notes above them, depending, or below, depending on what the velocity is doing to control the tuning. Let's see what happens if I turn this off. I'm gonna be 0 velocity. Right now you're hearing fewer higher notes, right? So those higher notes that we were hearing were actually higher velocity messages coming out of the generator, the sequencer, and then tuning the oscillators higher, but following along that harmonic series. It's a really nice little. There we go. Now we got it back. Let's let some of those little balls escape, shall we? It's pretty dense right now. There's a lot of overlapping notes. Now we got 3 notes. I could listen to this all day, I tell you. Right now, because we've got fewer notes overlapping, we're using fewer voices. We're hearing longer sustained notes coming out of the operator, and we're hearing some movement in the sound. The modulator in this sound is real simple. It's just two oscillators, a modulator and a carrier, and one of them is a sawtooth wave, so it's a little more brighter and buzzier than it would be. And occasionally you're going to hear swells as notes are playing longer. But I also have an LFO. If you occasionally hear it go out of tune or get a little noisy or kind of wobbly, it's the LFO changing the tuning of the modulator. Let's exaggerate that. There it goes. This is pretty crazy. And then I also have, there's a little bit of filtering going on here, so it's not too bright. Occasionally you'll hear a surprising note. So yeah, I really like this thing. It's deceptively, it looks so simple, but depending on what you play it into, I think that really matters. It's got to be with the right sound that sounds good with this sort of arrhythmic jumble, this cluster of notes kind of re-triggering or overlapping. Let's see, I forget what key I played. What note am I playing? Maybe we'll get a surprise. I just added a few notes, just a few, Played a C, a D, and a G. It's so peaceful. And of course, you know, putting a huge reverb on this makes all the difference. Like, I mean, if I turn that off, it's still nice. It's kind of more up close and precious sounding, but with the reverb, you know, I'd rather be in space with this, I think. Okay. I told you it was chill out Saturday, and no lie, we are totally chill. That said, though, we probably want to have some other kind of musical ideas going on. Let's play a little bit. I've got... All right, cross your fingers. I mentioned the plucky guitar thing that I had. I've got some, you know, beat repeat on it to chop it up and make it kind of glitchy sounding. Cross your fingers that it's going to be in key with whatever the Tombola sequence is doing. It's a different key. But who cares? It's not terribly out of key. It's still pleasant enough, right? And this is literally just a guitar loop out of the live library. But, you know, I quantized it so that the transients would be tight on the grid, so the rhythm would be tight because of running it. I was running it through this beat repeat, and sometimes it would chop the notes off, and it was a little messy. So quantizing the audio helped it work with the beat repeat slicing better. I'm gonna turn off the Tombola for a second. What have I got going on here? Do I even remember? All right, some EQ. I have a modulating morphing filter here and the auto filter just to give it some tonal kind of variation. I've got it compressed a lot. Those transients are really sharp. I mean, you know, maybe even a limiter would have been good because the plucks are really bright. And then that's going into the beat repeat. I just set the beat repeat to gate mode, so we're only hearing the chopped up audio now, none of the dry. That's kind of nice too. Right, so let's play around with the offset a little bit. You can hear different transients getting caught, different little slices, different sections of the loop. It's being pitched down 7 semitones, so it's creating a melodic harmonic variation from the notes coming in, from the sound coming in. And I mean, this is nothing new, beat repeat, but I think it's perennial. It's like there's so many slicing, glitchy, crazy tools out there. This one is simple and easy to use and does one thing very well. I like tools like that. What it doesn't have is filter modulation, so I added a Max for Live LFO to sweep this bandpass up and down so that the slices are kind of, you know, getting brighter and darker. Let's slow that down a little bit. Right, now in insert mode, we're switching between the dry and the sliced audio. How are we doing? It's almost halfway through. It's different. I feel so different keeping it low pressure, kind of easy going today. More space in between thoughts. It's kind of like meditating making music like this. I don't know. After the class this week, when I was doing this, I felt so nice and chilled out, and I'm like, I need to do this more. And then I thought, hey, let's do it together today on normally Techno Saturdays, right? It's Sleepy's Ambient Saturdays today. Back in the 90s, in Windows 95 era, the Microsoft Word autocorrect would, if you typed in Selway, it would correct it to Sleepy. So there's some history there with the concept of today's show. All right, let's bring in another part. So one of the other things we were doing in class was some basic sample-based synthesis, just learning how to build up a synth sound, but using samples, right? So that's what's going on in this part. We were going over how to use Live Sampler, just the basics of sampling, the concept of like a root key and, you know, which MIDI note is playing the sample and how it's in tune or not, and how to tune samples, layering samples, and then getting into doing subtractive synthesis and simple modulation of the samples. How to set up your loops, right? So pretty straightforward stuff. And sort of this, some of the secret sauce in this one, and this is another thing I love to do in terms of sort of basic synthesis concepts and sampling, is audio rate modulation, FM modulation of samples, right? It's just like doing FM synthesis, except instead of a couple of sine waves, I've got a sine wave and a sample. And they need to be in tune, or else it gets real noisy, or maybe you want that on purpose. But the kind of metallic, buzzy swell that comes up is this sine wave FM oscillator. If I turn that off, it's still a good sound, right? You can hear there's a little pluck and some kind of modulating low frequencies that are in one of the samples, and then there's a little shakery sound that's actually a cicada. It's an insect. You can hear it sounds kind of, when it's faster and higher, it's more identifiable. But then add the FM oscillator in there, and there's that extra interesting detail, and it gets a little rough around the edges and broken in an interesting way. Let's bring that back in together with the guitar. See if we can get the Tombola to play nicely together with what we're going on here. All right, I'm going to let all the balls escape. That was a little surprising there. So yeah, increasing the mass, it's actually making them lighter. You can see they bounce higher. It's getting a little weirder now, isn't it? And you can hear the LFO detuning the modulator. It got noisy and weird there for a second. I like that. I'm gonna lose the guitar plucks. Also have a nice simple filtered sawtooth wave on this other simpler here. So I can add in some low drones I can play along. This could be a whole live set. If I bring it into enough parts into this, I could just go back and forth between different layers and perform for hours probably. All right. How are we doing for time? 1:34. Keep that going into the background a little bit and focus on the chat and check in with everybody. You're still watching Sleepy's Ambient Saturday. It's always Chill Out Saturday here on 343 TV, brought to you by 343 Labs Music Production School. And yeah, obviously a little bit something different today. We're usually banging out the beats. There hasn't been a single kick drum or any kind of percussion, unless you count cicadas scraping their wings together as percussion. You could. Hope you all are enjoying sort of the chill, droney ride today. Let's see. Anthony, yes, you're right. Hey, Anthony, I'm glad you're here. You're here on a non-electro day. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're just kind of chilling out today, obviously. Anthony Rother, of course, big electro hero for all of us. Been a guest on the show before. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, different thumbnails for YouTube. That's been on the plate for a long time. Being a little more clear ahead of time about what the show's going to be about. So we'll get on that. Thanks, Anthony. What else is going on here in the chat? You guys are just going off on all sorts of things. Ordrareer says, where's the cheesy saxophone? I could arrange this if you want. We could do it. We could get some... we could add some performance on top of this. And now, you know what? There's a comment here. This is important, I think. You know, going back to Ordrareer here, sounds so much like generative music. Because it is. And you're absolutely right. And there's I guess it's kind of a aesthetic thing, or whether you're into the concept or not, but there's certain types of melodies and rhythms that come out of a lot of these tools. And if you just sort of set it and don't try to make it do something different, or try to use it in a new or different, in a way that's more personal and sculpted and shaped, it'll end up sounding really generic. You're absolutely right. I'm not always, you know, when I hear purely generative music that doesn't, you can tell that it's not shaped and formed completely by human thought, right? And you can feel that. So I think there needs to be a balance of the human element and the algorithmic element. And, you know, and this extends from simple physics-based tools like this into complex AI algorithmic generation. You know, of course, that's a thing right now, like that we have to, I'm getting thoughtful today, that we have to kind of work together to like move in a positive way into the future and not just let these algorithms take over, you know, like it's not, you know, use them as tools, but use them in a way that makes sense and not use them in a lazy way, right? So right now I am using this plugin, this Max for Live device, in a little bit of a lazy way. I need to control it. I need to like figure out how to make it work best for my music. So yeah, I think it is a danger with generative algorithmic music tools, right? It can just sort of come out sounding the same and sounding like, oh, another randomly generated sequence. So it's up to you. It's a challenge just to do something cool and unique with it. All right. Yes, that's right. Antonio Velasquez in the Twitch stream, I think. Actually, no, he might be on. I've got multiple streams going on now. We just recently started putting this stream out on my personal YouTube channel as well. So if you're there, greetings everybody for following there. Thank you. But yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to sometimes it's a little hard to keep track of who's chatting where. So anyway, what do we got doing? What do we got for time? It's 1:38. Let's just keep hanging out. Again, yeah, Anthony Rother says no saxophone. I promise, no saxophone. I mean, there's already some guitar plucks. That's as acoustic as we're going to get. Let's see if we can't up the energy level a little bit here. Let's play around a little bit more. This is going to be a little bit dangerous, but I'm going to try. All right, still kind of getting it in here. I do actually have some percussion to play with. And I have this other... Pigments sound that I was working on that is definitely not a drone. Let's get this going. So not ambient anymore, we have a beat. I felt like we had to build it up and take it somewhere, not just be totally droning for the whole show. Take a look at what Pigments is doing. I learned something about Pigments. Pigments is amazing. I mean, okay, it's not the only game out there in terms of complex, modern hybrid synthesizer that can do everything, but I really enjoy using it as a granular synth. So, you know, the rhythm that you're hearing right now is generated by, and we're still doing generative here, the Granular engine, right? I like that in Pigment's Granular engine you can quantize the grains and make it into like more of a rhythmic chopping engine as opposed to a typical random kind of cloudy grainy thing, right? So it's actually chopping it into 8th notes, 16th notes, quarter notes, and then modulating that so you're hearing different note-like values, similar to how beat repeat works actually. And what's amazing for me is that you can set the Granular engine every time it plays a grain to trigger a modulation. So right now, the Foreman filter is being modulated by the grains. And that's what and it's kind of like it's like sample and hold. Except that because instead of sample and hold, because it's the grain engine, whenever it'll always sort of synchronize with what the grains are doing. And then I also realized that, you know, we have, let me stop for a second so I can think, even with the drones going on, with the notes going on randomly in the other track, but you can see this function. You know, a function is kind of like a customizable LFO/envelope/sequencer. You can sort of make any shape you want with it. You can sync it or not. You can have it run by itself, or you can have it follow the clock, or you can have it behave like an envelope or whatever, right? And, you know, if you look at the gate source, that's like triggering the envelope or re-triggering the waveform. You can see you've got grain trigger, right? So I can also set up envelopes to trigger per grain, which is nuts. Then I could assign this to anything else. That's really cool. I have not, and someone tell me, do you know, is there a Granular synth that lets you use the actual grain movement as a modulation source? Because that's awesome. All right, it's a nerdy thing to be excited about, but I love it. And I'm actually using it in a really subtle way right now. I wanted to add reverb to this sound. I wanted to kind of make it more spacey, but I didn't want to lose the sharpness of the transients on this rhythmic sound. So I'm actually using the envelope to modulate the dry wet on the reverb. Real simple trick. It's like a mixing trick you might do you know, where you have a lot of delay or reverb on a vocal and you want it to get out of the way and you only hear it when they finish their phrase. It's sort of like what's happening here. Each note, it's kind of ducking the reverb out of the way. Let's see if we can even tell what that's doing. Yeah. I think I might have it inverted the wrong way. I might be doing the opposite of what I wanted. No. There he goes. Yep. You can see it. Now it's going the right direction. So you'll hear more reverb when the sound stops. I'm not sure that the plucky guitar goes with the heavy pigments kind of bass elements. It's okay. It makes it a little bit more... I don't know. I like it. I don't love it. Maybe I should just go with it. It's in, at least they're kind of in key, right? So I haven't really done any real other drum programming other than this one simple kick drum and snare pattern. But I'll point out, and I've been meaning to play with this on the stream, is yet another, you guys have probably seen this online already, yet another AI drum generator. This one is Emergent Drums from Audio Lab and Audio Lab, and they very kindly shared this for free with some people to get the word out. I'm a little late on getting the word out, but just following through on my promise. And this is really interesting. It's you know, the other one that we looked at, you know, they're very similar, right? It's like doing generation. I think you got to be connected to the internet. There's a server that generates the sound and then you download it, and it's pretty fast. It sounds pretty good, and it's still, you know, like it still has a bit of the roughness. It's not, doesn't make these super clean, sharp, you know, sounds. It has a little bit of raw kind of vibe to it, which I think is good. And this is literally like the first time I've used it. So, but thus far it's a nice interface, easy to use, pretty straightforward. I was a little confused at first. I'm like, why don't I hear the sample when I click on it? But you have to hit the play button. All right. Let's add a hi-hat pattern. All right, I want to do like a little fast roll there. Might be a little intense, but it's kind of doing call and response with the bass, right? It almost sounds more like a snare right now. There it is. It was a snare. I'm like, you can hear they have this sort of weird grunginess to them. All right. I'm not completely 100% sold on that pattern, but I'll get there. I'll fix it. Let's see what happens if we try some different generated hi-hat sounds. I like the short one. I think some velocity for that, I think, would be a good idea. Get a little bit of a groove. Just make them a little more ghost note likes rather than, so it's a little less robotic. That's better. It's got a little wave now in terms of the hi-hat. Back to the Tombola. We'll just play around a little bit. I'm just jamming now. That was nuts. Maybe I need some different notes. Let's let those guys go. All right. I'm gonna figure out some better notes to play into this thing. Hopefully this works. I'm trying to do something a little more low. Very quiet. Maybe too low. Some more notes. Let's see how it goes. I guess I must have played the notes way too low because they're like really rumbling now. Actually, that could be cool. We got super spacey dark drone now. The occasional high note, apparently. All right. I told Thomas right before we started the show, yeah, we're doing chill out today. Get ready to drone. I hope we don't all fall asleep. There is that danger of doing a more spacey, low energy show. Hopefully you guys are relaxing and enjoying the process. I feel like I need to wake myself up a little bit. Let's play a little bit on this sawtooth. For it to go positive like this, it's, you know, I was thinking it would be more a darker kind of thing, but we've got into this like kind of, I don't know what the word is. What's a good adjective for the vibe right now? Play around with this pigment sound a little bit. I think it sounded better as just the drone. Let's go back to that. Okay. I think we can bring it back down to earth now. We're almost done for the day. I'll check in with you guys. We'll chat a little bit before we call it. All right. Had some nice surprises in the chat today. Great to see you back here, Anthony. Hopefully we can do another show with you one of these days. Wouldn't mind getting your take on Chill Out. Simple Sam says, took a chance on a mushroom. Yeah, definitely a little psychedelic vibe going on today. That's what happened. I don't mind that. I think that can be cool, right? I like what the drone is doing right now, you know, with the Tombola. I put in some really low notes, and you can hear it's kind of rumbling. We're getting this like detuned, filtered rumble down there, but then occasionally it's popping out with one of those higher notes at a higher velocity. I like that. What happens if you speed it up a little bit? It's getting a little more intense now. Cool. Lie Society says, I feel like I just did an hour-long meditation session. Well, and I said that earlier. Like, one of the reasons I enjoy making music like this is to take a break from what I usually do, and also it does feel like that. It gives you, you have more time to make your decisions. You can just kind of let it go and enjoy listening to it. And then I guess, the generative part of it, using these sequencing tools, like, sort of takes some of the pressure off. It's fun, right? It just to let it just sort of go, and then you can kind of listen to it and react to what it's doing and guide it in a more relaxed way than if you're worried about every note having to be perfect all the time. Nice. Oxygen levels critical. Hey, yeah, nice one. 3 a.m. come down vibe. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely like end of the after party. We're ready to go to bed now. When I was a kid, there used to be I don't know, it still might be around. There used to be a radio series called Hearts of Space. And it was a little cheesy. It was very new agey. But sometimes some of the stuff they played, like late at night on like public radio here in the States, and they would play stuff like this, just like these expansive space journey music. And I used to love that. So, I'm a little more inspired to create music with rhythm, with beats, for dancing. But every now and then it feels real good to just relax. And, we'd kind of started taking it back into the beat area, right? Having this kind of spatial atmosphere and random, or not so random, but just sort of interesting generative patterns, and then combine that with more solid beats. It's an interesting production workflow. So, what else we got here? Seems like most of you are going along with it today. Like I haven't seen too much any critical comments here today. But I just want to say thanks. Happy Accident Lab from Bjorn. Yeah, that's a good one. Definitely. It's got to be happy accidents making music like this. And thanks, Orjarir. I'll share this comment with everybody. Generative is just so cool. Just like you were the captain and telling your crew to go there, but they're doing it in their own way, and you wonder every second about how they're doing it. Yeah, you're like giving up some control, right? You got to be a good captain. You can't micromanage this. You've got to like let it do its thing and trust that it's going to come out all right, and course correct when necessary. Nice. Luminous Cloud says it'll be an electro tune by dinner. Yeah, I could. If I speed it up and change the beats, we could easily turn this into some chill electro. Nice. It's 1:58. I think we're in a nice spot. It's not quite 2 yet, but we're winding down. Thanks to everybody who's here, and I want to just really make sure you all know about I got to do the sales. I got to do the marketing. the pre-sale link you see here in the chat, pinned to the top. This is your best opportunity to get the best discounts possible on our courses at 343 Labs. In person here in New York and in Berlin, and in our online courses. You know, why not? If you come to the stream regularly and you're working on what you're doing and you want to get more into it, do a course with me. Do a course with Abe. Oh, that's right, Abe. Abe's about to do his last regular stream. That doesn't mean he's not going to stream for us. And it doesn't mean he's going away. But his regular Fridays, apparently, unfortunately, you know, circumstances, life changes. But yeah, no more Abe on Fridays. But I have high hopes that he will still be coming around every now and then. I want to have him on my show. I want him to co-host with me, or maybe sub for me one day, and, you know, get him back into the rotation every now and then for 343 TV. And we're working on new stuff. There's going to be new content. There's going to be new streamers. Things are changing. Life always changes, just like the sequence being generated by the Tombola. It just keeps... Well, it's not changing much now. Let's make it change. Ah! Things just got angry. I really like this plugin. It's really cool. Max for Live device, whatever. It's a plugin. Great, it went back to normal. So yeah, check out the links in the description. Check out the discount, the pre-sale that we've got going on. Of course, we also have 343 Studio if you want to hang out every now and then for a little bit less of an investment. And there will be an electro feedback session coming. I want to nail down a guest. Not to put you on the spot, Anthony, but would you ever be willing to join me as a guest for a feedback session? Just an idea, no pressure. All right, guys, let's wrap it up for today. Thanks again to everyone who's watching and in the chat as always. And we'll be back a little more high energy next time. And Anthony, I will make sure that we say whether it's electro or not before. I promise. We're going to figure that out. No more surprises. Okay. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.
What does this mean? It represents mankind's desire to join with God by overcoming the duality created by our human self-image feels separated from the higher spiritual self. The seed of life is formed from seven circles being placed with six-fold symmetry, forming a pattern of circles and lenses. To a religious person it depicts the six phases of creation. To a physicist, it represents the lines of interference of a triple envelope from a sympathetic resonance. To a mathematician, 3 points of